Morning, guys. Actually, it's afternoon, but I've been out here for a while, so okay, I'm going to share some. Maybe worth something to somebody, but probably 2 or 3 people. But you know, stuff I share, I didn't know up until probably a year ago or maybe. But where's Mother? There it is. Normally in these machines, you see these little guys when you're doing your welding. You see a little 2-pound, you can buy these for, I don't know how much they are, $10 or whatever they are. But one thing I didn't know is you can buy a 10-pound spool for these smaller machines, and all you have to do is have this little, because they have these bigger holes in them, well, you buy this little adapter. And I didn't know that. I just ran out of this, and I had bought that, and I thought, this thing will last me, geez, there's no telling how long, and I won't have to sit and change these little spools out all the time. So here's the adapter. It's called a 2-inch spindle adapter. Lincoln Electric sells it, and I'm sure they fit. I'm sure that's probably a normal, let's see, for use with Weld Pack, Pro MIG, Easy MIG. Yeah, I'm sure this probably fits anything that has that same general, because those are pretty universal. That's Hobart, so yeah, probably fits Miller's or whatever you've got. But anyway, I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out there. I was changing that out, and I thought, I wonder if, some of the guys that watch know that you can buy these bigger spools, because like I said, that thing's gonna last me for years probably. I don't know. Well, maybe not years. I gotta weld this whole car, but who knows? It may make it through the whole damn car. But anyway, I thought I'd share that with you real quick. I'm welding the cowl panel, the upper cowl panel in. Let me take that back. I'm welding the lower cowl panel in. The upper cowl sits on top of this, or the cowl vent panel. So yeah, you can see here, I've got these. I still haven't got the top 2 up there. Got these here all welded in. Got these going here. I've got all these going up there. So I still got to do underneath, and so I'm getting closer. One thing I will say about the way I've decided to do this is I may end up changing it again before it's all said and done, because here's the thing. So as you guys know, I decided not to use weld through on these, and so what I'm having to do is I just sprayed epoxy over top of everything, so I have to sit in here and dig this epoxy out. Well, that's not too bad. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but on like these here, I epoxied over top of that E-coat, so I've got to scrape not only the epoxy off, but I've also got to scrape that E-coat away as well. So that makes it a little bit more of a pain in the butt to sit and have to sit and do this. And also that stuff does burn. Not real bad, but it does burn away a little bit. So, and you can see here where it's just burned about 1 inch away or so, and it's probably the same underneath. And that's not really the issue for me. The issue is the time it's taking me to sit and scrape all this stuff out of here. I think that if I had laid this on here just like this, and taken me a little magic marker of some sort and put me a dot in there, in each one of these holes, pulled this back off, ground away about 1 inch. And why I say 1 inch is because everything I've welded up to this point, any kind of plug weld I've ever welded, is probably a little less than 1 inch. Let's see the big one here. We'll measure it out and see what it is. Let's see. So yeah, right at 1 inch. So, and that was probably one of my hotter welds. So my thought is if I was to grind away about 1 inch or 1.5 inches or something like that of the epoxy, and leave it all out here, because that's all it's going to burn away is this, and then spray your weld through primer over these spots, then all I would have to do is just come back and weld. I wouldn't have to sit and scrape all that crap out of there. You just weld through that primer. So I may do that from here on out, because The weld-through primer is just burning away. Dadgummit. I'm tripping over everything. But as you can see here, you know, I did this one. It had weld-through primer. Well, it does fine as long as I ran the epoxy back, which I will run the epoxy back in all the crevices and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. So anyway, I thought I'd tell you that too. I'm not trying to make this video too long, but yeah, I'll be able to take that syringe and run epoxy all down through here, probably up in that little crevice there, run it down inside there. I know for sure I'll be able to get it in those and from the other side. So, you know, that'll help with that. But I was just thinking, this has taken me quite a bit of time to sit and scrape all that away, which if you just did epoxy, let's say you ground the E-coat back and then epoxied over that, then all you would have to do is just scrape the epoxy out. And the epoxy is not that hard to get off there. But with the E-coat and the epoxy both, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get and to sit and scrape all that away. I know some people use lacquer thinner and stuff like that, but in the shop we always just scrape a little bit out of there. But knowing now that you can weld through that primer and it really doesn't spatter too bad, I think that's probably what I'll do, is just line my panels up, pop the holes, pull them back off, or pop the holes and put me a little mark, you know, a little silver marker, black marker, whatever color. And that way, you know, you can just take your disc and grind you a little circle off about, you know, an inch or inch and a half or so, and then shoot some, you know, a coat or so of the weld through over it. Then you've got epoxy and weld through. So maybe the best of both worlds. I don't know. I mean, kind of is what it is. I'm doing the best I can here. It's all going to be seam sealed. This whole thing will be seam sealed all the way down through here on both sides. So really, ultimately, nothing's going to get in there. But you know, you're just trying to protect it as much as possible. Oh, there's that. She's welded in. Done deal. Permanent. Went ahead and threw my dash pad up here, or not pad, but whatever it's called. The dash, I don't know. Anyway, kind of set it into place to make sure everything was going to jive like it's supposed to. Went ahead and threw the dash. So I guess that would be the upper dash. Anyway, whatever. Threw these pieces back in here. Just kind of threw a little nut in there, just kind of hold it in place and clamped at the bottom, but I wanted to make sure it's all going to line up like it's supposed to, and it looks like it is. These holes all line up like they're supposed to, so that's good. So I probably won't put that in just yet, and probably won't put that dash piece in or any of that just yet. It'll give me more room for, you know, getting around in the floor, and plus I'm going to have to grind all that, all the paint and everything, clean that up and epoxy it black. But the next thing I'll be working on will be getting this quarter panel the rest of the way off, and getting that new quarter panel set up to where I can get this locked into place, get this rocker locked into place. Because I have to break these tacks loose here and lift this car up off this jig in order to get the firewall back in. I know probably a lot of people are going, well, why would you put the firewall in first? I probably won't. I'll probably go ahead and put the floor pan in while it's like that. It would obviously be easier. But I want to get at least that rocker back locked down and this whole side kind of set up to where I know everything's jiving like it's supposed to. But yeah, probably put the new floor pan in. I'm gonna say be my next deal. After I get that rocker locked down and that rear quarter panel and everything's lined up, go ahead and cut that floor out and get it put back in, and then Once it's all secure and welded in, I can lift that body back up off this jig and go ahead and set that firewall into place, so, and get it welded in. But the only thing I got left right now to do is to take my syringe and run my epoxy down into all these little grooved areas and up underneath here. You can see my penetration where it came through. But yeah, it's all welded down all the way up here, under here. I kind of clamp that down just to keep it from sticking up. But sorry, this fan's probably making a lot of noise. So yeah, all that's done. You can see where I put my welds in. Left that one there because I couldn't get to it, but no biggie. It's going to be covered with seam sealer. All that'll be covered with seam sealer. So yeah, that's it for now. Everything lined up like it's supposed to. 7 1/8 from the bar. Went ahead and took the bar out of there so I could. Actually, I took the bar out because I got a little ahead. You wanted to see how that was going to fit. So I tried to stuff it down in there. It's not going to fit. The car is going to have to come up, and that's going to have to be like bolted down to that, and then the car lowered back down onto that firewall. It just won't. I just can't get it. I just can't get it to get in there. It literally has to come up from the bottom, the way that works. So once I pull the car up off this jig and bolt that down, I can just lower the car back down onto it. That seems like it's going to be my best bet. But yeah, we'll play with that rocker a little bit more, depending on if I get any of my parts. They had to truck freight that the quarter panel, so it may be another 2 or 3 days before that shows up. So, but we'll come out here tomorrow and play with something. I'm not sure. May go ahead and run my epoxy and stuff back down into all these little gaps and stuff to kind of surround those welds from the inside. May do that. May go ahead and seam seal it tomorrow, kind of scuff up underneath here a little bit and run me some seam sealer up inside those channels now that's welded in. Obviously I won't do this yet, but I don't know, just thinking out loud. So alright guys, well, have a good afternoon and we'll talk to you next time. See you.